Hey, who's there around? Sorry, I'm a bit late. Completely unorganised. Really apologise for that. See who puts up with this. I really haven't organised anything. It wasn't scheduled. Getting home from work and my phone went flat, and ended up walking from the station, which was about an hour, but I only had about 55 minutes, so I'm 5 minutes late. Sorry about that, but I am here. There's a few people on Discord, yep. Well, tell them all to come. It's a live stream. Sorry about that. Really apologise. I had so much stuff that I was going to organise and have ready to go tonight, and it just hasn't happened. I was late at work, and it's pretty warm, and I got new shoes and all those sort of things. So I'm really not feeling particularly good about the whole deal, but I made it. Thanks, Stephen. Don't let it happen again. Tommy, g'day. Stephen Lang, hello. Sorry to get you up and then have you realise I wasn't here. Paul, g'day. Brendan, g'day. Stuart Hingston, g'day. I saw you post on Facebook. You're obviously learning some new tricks with married life. I worry about you. Peter, g'day. I hope everyone's okay. I haven't done a lot this weekend either, so there's, well, nothing of any consequence, I guess. You should totally watch Craig's video. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't done anything tonight. I was supposed to finish work at 5:30, but it just didn't happen. We picked up to 14 like that, so that's awesome. You guys are amazing. Yeah, I just walked in. I got brand new shoes. They're leather, and my feet probably stretched a little bit over winter because they're feeling a bit tight, and they're the same size as I had before, so I have to live with it. I'll get them stretched. Hey, Craig. Hey, Maddie, g'day. Never assume. Mark Osborne, g'day. So what's been happening? Pulled all the electrics off the lathe. Ancient 3D print experiment. The letterings didn't turn out properly, which was pretty crap. But I did that because the circuit breaker was too big for this box and stuck out the front a little bit. This box was on the lathe. Excuse me. This box was on the lathe for the last 5 or 6 years, probably longer than that, however long it's been running. But I've pulled it off and we're bypassing it. So, lathe update. Gosh, it's a body filler anyway. Probably should clean some stuff up. But I did make a bit of effort to get here. Otherwise, I would have been half hour ago away if I'd just taken it easy. Sounds great, Mark. You have fun with that. You'll come back talking Russian, but we'll be good with that. Probably won't make a lot of... Gosh, everyone's On to that, eh? Hey, Richard. Pulled the airbrush out this weekend while I was waiting for the VFD for the lathe and cleaned it because honestly it was a bit of a disgrace. Since I owned it secondhand, I don't think I've ever used these bottles, and they were packed full of paint, so I've cleaned them up. I honestly don't think anyone's ever used this one. It's still got a new gasket in it, so pretty confident no one ever used that. But this was pretty manky too, so there's a Pash VL. It's not a bad brush, really. I don't know where... I guess I had an air fitting for this. I don't know where on earth it is. It's M5, I think, Pash. So, good old made in American stuff. It's always metric thread. And I'll have to make an adapter, but haven't got there yet. But I did run it through the ultrasonic and everything's nice and clean, and it does spray. So, we're back in business with that. That was a couple of days this weekend. And I cleaned a heap of paintbrushes too. Sorry. I cleaned a heap of paintbrushes too, which is long overdue. Yeah, Stephen, it is a good brush. It's not really the Rolls Royce anymore, but when it was bought, when new, I think it might have been. It's pretty good gear, but it might get some use. End up doing this with paintbrushes. Here you go, just for a laugh. I'll show you this without going too left wing on you, all communist and stuff. This guy, one of the groups I'm on Facebook, they do like special 3D print files for support creators who make them and make sure that they do well enough out of them to actually make another one. And someone come up and said, does someone want to do this? And of course, they found an artist and twisted his arm, and we all put a couple of bucks in and ended up with this exclusive file. So that was about Saturday morning. The design was sort of finalised by Saturday afternoon. We had files by Sunday night. Monday I printed this guy, and Tuesday I painted him. So there we go. That's the turnaround time on a 3D print. That's awesome that he is, actually. Right on, Stephen. Whatever you think, it's a pretty iconic sort of a picture, and it is pretty cool. And if we have a look, some serious challenges 3D printing, just so you know. Some of these bits were printed fire. The chair was printed about 6 times before I got it to work. But he didn't come up too bad, really. Question from Craig on airbrushes. Let's do a quick tutorial on airbrushes. There you go. This airbrush, it's got a cap on it actually. Let me pull that off. It's got a needle in the end. I don't know if you can see that, can you? Probably not. I don't use this enough. Try and get this in frame. So basically push down for air. That controls this valve in here. And this has got a pivot on it. So you pull back for paint. That's how it works. So if you push him down, you get air. And you pull him back, you get paint flow. Now there's an adjustment in here on this one. So you can back it off. When you push it down, you actually get paint flow like a spray gun, or you can use it like an artist brush and back that right off, so that you've got to actually use it in a two-stage thing. So push him down and pull him back, or so that's how that works. It's just got a needle in it like a spray gun. It's very simple. It's got a collet on here. And it's got a needle, which is probably fairly important to keep that somewhere near straight. And this collet here moves backwards and forwards and moves the needle in and out. So that's all it is. It's just a little, like a two-jaw collet there to grab the needle. See if we can get this through here without damaging anything. There we go. And the collet goes on there. So that's how that works. Your air goes on there and your paint goes in here. So if you pull him back and then push him in, you'll get a fair bit of paint all at once. And if you push him in and get some air going and pull him back, you'll just get a very fine coat. So there's a bit of skill involved in using it, but they're good fun, really. If I had my money over again, I'd probably buy an Iwata. I have one here somewhere. It's got a bent needle, but this is honestly, this is a pretty good brush. It's all sun. Yeah, it feels like it's going to rain. It really does. It's pretty muggy out there. I guess it will. How long did print take? Gosh, how long should it have taken? Or how long did it take? This chair I printed 5 times, up to about an hour. And then after that, the third one took about 2.5 hours to print. But there's a lot of support on that. Actually, it's a separate piece, and I printed it that way up with support on the legs. And printed that way with the filler laying down this way, it gives a bit more strength than if we print it this way and put the filler down this way, because that's just a short seam across here, whereas this is quite a bit longer. So that gives us some strength in this and in this. And there had to be support under here and support under here. So there's a couple of hours in that. These two here was a couple of hours in these two pieces, which are separate. They're painted and then stuck together. And they've got pins or pegs, square pegs to fit together. And then there's a bit of work in the head. I printed that twice. It's about 5 minutes in printing the hair, and about another 5 minutes in printing the glasses. And while it was all going together, I painted the bits that were already started. So there's not a lot to it. Hey, Aaron. What size and shape of the spray pattern this puts out? Somewhere between about 3mm diameter and about 30, 50 maybe. It's quite capable with a bit of pressure and a fair bit of paint, like a bigger paint pot and some adjustment and even a bigger needle of covering quite a bit of area, Craig. So, however, it's also, if you've steady enough hand, more than capable of putting a 2mm line on something. That's where I lay down, is that I get the shakes, but you need to support your hand really for fine work. And shape is just round like a spray gun, I guess. I don't know about that. So that's Bernie. Anyway, paint's still a bit sticky on him, but he's coming together. I think he's about done. That was a waste of a weekend, but it was good fun. We'll put him over here on the Lorch faceplate, in the way of all good communists. Got a bag of stuff. My postage coming today, which is awesome. This has been public holiday yesterday, guys. Australia Day here yesterday. Happy Australia Day, everyone. Aussie, 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 etc., etc., etc. Get it in India and all that stuff. There's the VFD. It is out of my bag. There you go. That's where we're at with that. This is a cheap one, and it really feels pretty cheap. But I don't imagine it's all that much cheaper than the one I had, which was quite an expensive one in quality. The plastic doesn't feel quite as nicely finished, but they're made for price. So, bizarrely, when I opened it, there's actually 3 20-amp fuses on the back there. I don't know where they go. I've got absolutely no idea where they actually fit into the machine, or if they fit into the machine or what. No clues on that. I guess they probably do, but I'm not sure where. So, not sure what they're for. But this is pretty basic, actually. It's only got RST, or the you use the R and T for your single phase, and then an earth. So that's easy to hook up. And then it's got UVWs, so 3 phases in your earth. So the 2 earths go in the same hole. So it shouldn't be particularly difficult to set that up and get it running. Hopefully, and here's a big hopefully, and I don't think it is actually, that the mounting holes are the same as the old one. It's probably too much of an ask. Yeah, it's way different. So we're going to have to drill some holes in a bit of stainless steel over there to bolt this on. Anyway. Hey Mark, is everyone having fun? I don't know about that. No shocks for the Rover yet. Don't know where they are. The wrong ones come, and then I sent them back, and then the right ones are still on the way. I don't know. I might be here tomorrow. What I did get is these. These are a mod that a couple of guys in Eastern Europe have worked out. This is a basically it's a reflector for a standard 5mm LED for a torch or something like that. So these are going to be headlights. So that's pretty cool. There's a mod to use these. And they fit nicely in the front grille of the Land Rover. So pretty excited about that. Hey, Chirp. You're right. No potentiometer on that one. It's a bit strange too. I'm going to have to get used to that. But the one on the mill doesn't either, and they seem to be less of a thing than they used to be. Yeah, there's no adjustable nozzle, I think, on that airbrush. I think some of them do. I don't think that one does. Instead of having a fan shape that has a jet into each side, it's just got 3 jets in the top. Is usually how they work. Usually they're just a jet of air going across a venturi. it's a fairly big word for Maddie, but he's doing all right. So that's the update on the Land Rover. That's about all that I've actually done. Did we see it all put together? Did we see the station wagon mods? The body all finished? Someone tell me whether I showed you that last week. I'm sure I did. We might have a look in a minute. We can see again, Matt says. Good video from Maddie too this week on the radius turning jig. We didn't see, I don't think we actually saw any results out of that, so it would be interesting to see how it works. But it's not a big deal to do it, but you've got up and down arrows, and to be honest, the way it was before, I don't adjust it very often. I adjust the lade on the belt, so it really doesn't matter very much as long as it's going somewhere near flat out. And I've adjusted the pulley ratios a little bit so it runs a little bit faster than it was, because we've got an extra 0.5 horsepower. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It's not much, but it's enough. It's a couple of 100 revs. Will make a difference probably. Most of you know I collect this stuff, and it's not very often that something comes up in this sort of condition at the price that I really feel like I want to afford. I'm a little bit tight when it comes to collecting things that collect dust. Gauge O wagon by Hornby, made in England, printed in England. The date's 4/39 on that. Don't know if you can see that. So that checks out with what's in the box. If we know our Meccano history. And it's an English box, which is interesting because most of the boxes we got here have got French or Spanish printed on one end. So that's interesting. And that's a Meccano or a Hornby O gauge. This is 1939, is the last year where they had satin rather than gloss undercarriage or bogies. And it's also really about the first couple of years where they actually went to a yellow from a white for an LMS wagon. So it checks out to be 1939, but pretty good fun. That one's in pretty good condition. And I didn't pay a lot for it. So we'll look out for part 3 of Maddie's video. Fair enough. That's fair. This is fairly nice. I can't really afford to collect this stuff anymore. I used to be able to. Not so much that I haven't got any money. I've probably got other priorities, but more that the price has gone through the roof since COVID hit. Everyone's sitting at home making toy trains in their attic, and Hornby O-gauge stuff's just skyrocketed. Locomotives are over $1,000, some of them $1,000, $1,500 for 20-volt electric stuff, and even some clockwork stuff, and I can't afford that. It's completely out of my price range. So O-gauge steam loco's got to happen pretty soon, because I'd like to get all this stuff on the track. Absolutely. It's definitely something that's got to happen. There's a few of those little projects that have got to be finished. But I've got to get this lathe going, because I'm sort of stuck without it. Feeling that a bit. Anyway, green and red Hornby boxes. Green are usually 50s. Red Hornby boxes in particular, and blue ones, which are the really early stuff. If anyone's got any, especially with wagons in them that are half decent condition, hit me up. Don't know if there's even enough bench space for this. This is getting a bit crook, isn't it? And it's terrible. Hey, Mike. Brendan, we'll be in touch about printing some wheels so you can cast them. I'm sure they're probably all right just as they are, but anyway. Hey, Matt. And Matt, g'day. So this is very nearly finished. It needs suspension. It needs a roof rack. And it probably needs a little bit of electrics. We're going to put these lights in here instead of these plastic ones. And we're going to put LEDs in these eventually, I think, so everything works and controls from the controller. So that's the theory. And we might put a winch on the front, which we've got half made too. We're going to cheat and make the winch drum out of aluminium or something so that it doesn't break. Anyway, that's the Landy's looking really good. It's a pretty serious sort of a model, actually. Really impressed with that. Sorry, I haven't got the COVID. I just walked home pretty fast in the cold and the humidity, and it's gonna rain out there like you wouldn't believe. And someone said there's a storm coming, and yeah, I think it's going to bucket down here, which won't hurt. Anyway, all I seem to have done this weekend is a bit of 3D printing and a bit of painting. Done a bit of sign painting. I've done some sketches for a project for a commission for a guy. I don't think I've been sitting around doing nothing, but It feels like I haven't done a lot of machining for a long time, and that's a pain. Any progress on the lathe? Got a VFD sitting here. It's just arrived today. So it's a matter of wiring that up, bolting it up, and getting it on the wall, and hooking in some wires, and it'll work. The motor and everything's all wired in as far as this. So I've got cables and conduits and everything all nicely, neatly set up, and everything's bolted in, belts are all tensioned, everything. So all I got to do is put 6 wires or something, 7 wires into this VFD and plug it in, I hope. Hey Bill, good to see you. The big benefit of being 10 minutes late is that Bill wakes up in time. So, feet are killing me actually. Apart from that, the other workbench and all the toolboxes have been cleaned up and packed away. I've spent a fair bit of time doing that. I did fix the air compressor. I've got no idea what was wrong with it. We ought to run a steam engine, eh? Don't know which one. Marford Boys seems to be a pretty fair. It hasn't had a run for a while. My airbrush air compressor's had some problems. I took it to work because I had to pop the glass out of a Longines case, and we never really had anything at that point, being a new company, to actually do that. So I thought, well, I'll take the airbrush compressor to work and just do it quick. Anyway, we've since got bike pump all set up, and it's pretty good. But because it's something I do every week nearly. But when I got to work, for some reason, this compressor wasn't working. And I thought it was an electrical problem. I took the back off it and couldn't see much wrong with it. But I took the crankcase cover off and gave it a turn and plugged it in, and it works fine. So something must have stuck in there or got caught on it, or worked sideways, or had a bump or something, or dislodged. Anyway, it's working good. So I'm pretty happy about that. Matt, it's a Land Rover. Of course you need axle stands. Come on. Where is it without them? Yeah, stuff's crazy. At the moment, anything's crazy. I was saying about toy trains are crazy expensive. But tools too. We're doing pretty good, Chirp. How are you? This is a pretty nice little engine, actually. There's some challenges in it. Don't be fooled by that simplicity, because it's not a particularly simple engine. I'll give it that. There's some challenges in it, but it's a fairly nice engine, and it runs like a dream. seriously do with some oil. Wonder what we do about that. This engine's piston valve, which is an interesting thing to get running properly. And it's also got reversing gear, which is kind of cool too. So there are some challenges, but it's a fairly doable engine, absolutely. And the drawings and plans and castings and everything are excellent, and they're pretty affordable. Probably do with a few less RPM. That's probably all it needs, is about 3 PSI. So it runs both ways. It'd be really nice with the governor on it at some point. Okay, slipper centric there is a bit sticky. Yeah, the compressor is quiet, but you've got to work next to it. Yeah, you just plug it into a standard workshop airline. It doesn't need much pressure. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't need much at all. Hey, Russ Knox, good to see ya. Craig's on fire too this morning, or this evening. This is slipper centric, right? It's got an eccentric that slips around quarter of a turn, so that when you turn it this way, it slips over and the valve runs that way. And if you turn it half a turn this way, it runs the other way. So it's quite an ingenious little device, but that's called slipper-centric valve gear. It was very, very common on early locomotives and reversing engines up until Stephenson came along with his, and even after. I mean, Stephenson's valve gear was pretty good. But the one that Nigel's building over at Go Create, that's got something about halfway in between Slipper Centric and Stevenson, which is fairly interesting too. So if you turn that way, oh, it didn't slip that time, it'll go back the other way, no problems at all. And you probably can't, I don't know if you see that, one moves, another one doesn't. Can you see that? One's, where are we? One moves, another one doesn't for half a turn. And it's got a pin there that stops it. So when it's going that way, it's in the correct timing position to run that way. And if it reverses back there, it's in the correct timing position to run that way if you're lucky. There's a bit of fiddling around to get that to work. But it does, and quite well. There's not a lot of tank space in that little compressor. Hey JB, you could blow up an inner tube and run off that quite easily, and you'd probably run your airbrush off that too. Yeah, that engine Nigel's building is kind of a bridge further, you know, it's pretty, he's doing a nice job of that. And there's some interesting features in it that you really don't see in very many locomotives. Late into night, yeah, I was late too, sorry. But that's how Slipper Centric works. All it is the inside accessory, the centric that operates the valve is loose on the crankshaft, and it's got a pin there in the right spot, and there's the right amount of cutout out of that eccentric there, so that when it pops round and the pin drives the eccentric, it's in the right position that way, and when it comes back round the other place and drives on the other side, there's the right position that way. There we go. Anyway, that hasn't had a run for a while. Kind of pleased it did. But there you go. Myford Boys engine's pretty good. This is a zinc flywheel. It had a drill. I'm sure it wasn't the end off a drill bit, but it had something in the casting that's made it almost impossible to machine so it didn't wobble. And I struggled with that a fair bit, actually. He would have sent another one, absolutely, I'm sure. But I didn't really ask him. So we got it sorted somewhere near, but this flywheel had a hard spot in it, and it was a bit of a challenge, to put it that way. This is just aluminium casting. And that's kind of the two bits that come with it. The rest's all bar stock. And some pretty good drawings. The drawings are pretty good. He's done a good job of the print out drawings. They're pretty good and easy to follow. And lots of good notes and a good video series on building it when you get into it. So there we go. Plug for Myford Boy. I think he makes some nice stuff, and I'd love to build some of his other engines, except they're all a bit big for my machinery or anywhere that I want to put them. You've got a really nice stovetop hot air fan, which is great if you're in England or Tasmania, but probably not so much use here in Queensland. It could have been sand chirpy, it might have been the end off a drill, it could have been anything, but it was easy to machine except for one spot, and I think even at the last it still had a shiny spot on it. I don't know, I can't see it there. But one spot, probably there, whatever it was, I reckon it was probably a steel shaving or something. It might have been harder than that. end off a tungsten tip or something, because couldn't get under it or over it or any way through it. In the end, we just worked with what we had. But this is quite a solid little engine, to be honest. It's pretty heavy. This is brass bar. This is soldered to this. It's silver soldered, I think. Soft soldered, silver soldered. And this bolts on here. These bolts on here. And it's got 3 bolts in each end. There's no glands or anything in it. The piston valve is drilled through, and then this cover covers that up, and it's got a slot in the outside to operate there for your exhaust. And it's got a piece of tube over the outside of here, just for cladding. So it's quite a nice thing. It's marked Fairfax Engines, which is his company there under the flywheel. This on a lathe without a milling machine, something on the ground there, was a bit of a challenge. I'll give it that. That was something that I really struggled with. But I got it up and running, and if I now have a milling machine, it'd probably be very easy to machine, I would imagine. It's sort of a 2-hour job. All right, take care, Mike. Hope you come out of it alive. We don't do procrastination around here, Chevy. I don't know what you're talking about. So, that's all that's been happening. I've done a lot of little catch-up jobs that I should have done months ago. I also had a plug on the mill lights that had one of these useless... Pretty crap, actually. This is pretty poor. Bought a transformer for the mill lights, which are 12 volt. Had this plug on it with one size fits all head like jacks on it, and this just comes out with a 2-pin plug. This comes loose here and nearly falls apart, and it won't. There's nothing working here between here, and you've got to plug it in the right way around or it doesn't work, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a bit over this, so I'll put a new plug on that too, which was probably overdue. Elastic? Anyway, there we go. That's my weekend. What's everyone else up to? Go be a guinea pig, Mike. Report back to us. Stuart's in the doghouse for posting stuff on Facebook that's off colour. Cat's got Craig problem. Oh, and Craig's got a cat problem too. JB's new studio looks amazing. Sorry, there's a time lag, Bill. We'll wait for you. Sign out and sign back in, or close the browser and start up again. Refresh. Waiting on prices for the castings. Hopefully tomorrow. Let us know, Matt, what the story is with them. Pretty keen to see what's going on with that. Dean DK in Sydney has a watchmaking channel. I'm sure you all watch Dean DK. You should watch Dean DK. Dean's discovered CNC, but he was a School of Hard Knocks watchmaker, like literal watchmaker, and he does some good work. He had problems with the lathe, the same as I've had. The bearings are gone, it's making a funny screeching sound. And if anyone's in Sydney and wants to lend him a puller and give him a hand to change a bearing in a motor, it'd be much appreciated if anyone could spare a favour. So I thought I'd say that. Did this without a mill. Wasn't that difficult. This is actually, this is separate, so that was easy. This bearing, I actually set it up on the vertical slide and bored this, line bored it. There's actually a video series on doing this. If anyone wants to dig way back in the archives, you can see how I did it. But I did everything on a lathe, and there was some challenges in this casting. It's bigger than it looks. It's bigger than you think it is when you buy the casting. So machining this bottom here and this parallel on top here and boring it. They're really only 3 operations. There's a few holes in it, but the holes are spotted through here. But boring this parallel to the bottom face is really the tricky thing. And on a Myford or something, it might have been a little bit easier to bolt him down a line boring, but I actually did it on the vertical slide that way round. And, or probably it was that way round, and drilled and bored it. Went through pretty easy. But I might have used angle plate actually, but it was a bit of messing around to get it set up. That's pretty typical. No, it's Maddie might make more ball handles. Interesting, Heron. We are interested in that. Dean's Cow's lathe was new, run without oil. No, it's I think it's his mini, like his he's got a Heron Forbes lathe or something like that. A Chinese or Taiwanese bigger lathe. Yeah, save up a link for next time when you're on live stream, or hit us up on Discord and make everyone watch it. Or even email me a link and I'll give you a shout out. Thanks, Craig. How many kilowatts the motor? I think it's about a 3/4 horsepower, something like that, 1/2 horsepower, 1 horsepower, something like that. It's a decent sized motor. But it's got a funny rumble sound, and he says, "Is that bearings?" He spun it over and it's like, so I think probably it is. But he's like, "Where do I buy a puller?" And I said, "Well, let's see if we can hook someone up who might be able to help you with it." Anyway. Don't know what the link's to. Might be to my channel. Should be to Heron's channel. If it's not to Heron's channel, you probably should post that as well if you can. Oh, there was a new video on Procrastination Nation. That makes 3, I think, or 2 or something. I can't remember. There's 40-something subscribers. I think. I haven't looked for a little while. A bit slack. A bit slack with YouTube in general, actually. I think if you right-click on his name in the chat and click Open New Link, Matty, you'll probably get it. It'll probably pop up. Don't know if that's how it works or not. What's the engine called? Craig says. What's the engine called? You're talking about this one, Craig? It's Myford Boys station or Myford Boy steam engine, basically. Burnie is cold, JB. Communism's a cold country. That's all I can say. It's just the Myford Boy engine. Now, the Myford Boy traction engine has exactly the same engine parts, which is pretty awesome. They're interchangeable as far as I can see. The cylinder and the crank and stuff, oiler and valves and everything. So one of life's total mysteries is why that guy is an American president. It's just absolutely blows me away. But anyway, enough said about that. Yeah, just make videos. Don't stress too much about the quality of them. Just bang them up. I mean, we all know that. We all make crap videos. I know I do. And if you just bang them up and people will watch them, probably at fast forward and only the first 5 minutes and the end 2 minutes, but they will watch them. How many kilowatt for the induction coil? Sorry, Craig. Yeah, that's interesting, Heron. More information. Hope I pronounced everyone's name wrong. I feel terrible. You say, I guess Chirpy's pronounced Chirpy. I've never ever asked. He might prefer Chirapie or something. I don't know. And Matty might be Matty. And Stephen Lang might prefer Richard. I don't think he does, though. I think we've had that conversation. I think Craig did, Stuart. Thanks, Craig. You're awesome. That's all I can say about that. My channel's growing, which is a bit of a mystery. Bernie's in the way, actually. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can now. Bernie moves his head. It says 6860, so it's up. It must be up 20 or 30 from last week, and I haven't actually posted anything, which is pretty amazing. I don't know how that happens. So anyway, anyone who's a new subscriber, I say thanks to you because you're awesome. Don't expect any content, but you're awesome. No, I've got to get some projects finished. It's going to be 2021 is going to be the year of finishing projects. Promise. Made that resolution. I'm not sure if I'll actually keep it, but we've made the resolution. Yeah, I don't know. It might be Bill. Yeah. Chirpy's into that. Now, does anyone play the fiddle? There we go. Big question. This is a stupid question actually, because I'm going to regret saying this. But I'd like to do a collab with someone who plays some sort of a musical instrument, because I don't. There you go. That's where we're at with that. So if anyone does, get in touch. Sometime in the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 2.5, 3, 5, 15 years, we'll get there. Promise. Right after I finish some other projects. Anyway, I've got a heap of envelopes there to mail out for stickers. So everyone who's waiting for stickers, they're on their way. Well, they're in envelopes, and I've still got to get stamps for them, but I might do that tomorrow. We'll see how we go. See what we actually get to tomorrow. I might have to make an actual trip to the post office on my day off, which is hard work. Chirp plays the piano. Okay. Taxman thinks Paul's on the fiddle. Does someone pay the recorder? That's what I'm asking. Who plays the recorder? I've got a sister who plays the recorder. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. I've got other things to do. Actually started in on this again because I've sort of been a bit lax on it, and then my printer died and I've got a new one and it doesn't calibrate properly and the bits don't fit together, etc, etc, etc. But I did sort of start the base for Lara Croft Tomb Raider, so we might get into that again, get it sorted. I actually have some paint down on that, but we'll get it better than that. That's printed in 4 pieces. It's fairly serious sort of a print. So printer went all night last week sorting that out. VFD rework could be a video, and I have got some, actually have some footage, so you might actually get a video about that this week. I'm about half of it shot, and it's all put together. I've only got to hook in some wires and make it work. But I got some footage of machining all the bits. So there you go. Not exactly destitute of projects or things to take video footage of. Just a matter of getting the video camera out. Oh. Storm within 5 kilometres. Thanks, Roger. It's going to rain here, I think. What's 5 kilometres of where? I have the Rotary Roach drawings here somewhere on the bench, if that's any help, and all the bits. Just a matter of, yeah, you know how it is. That's the way it is. Craig's owned a violin and tried to learn it and failed. Fair enough. There's always one with the Bandcamp quote. Thanks, Matt, for that. You know that that's fiction. It didn't actually happen. Anyway, as far as other community stuff goes, there's been, I wasn't really going to say too much about this, but there's been a bit of an exodus from Facebook and YouTube to other platforms. Rumble comes to mind, and another one as well, and MeWe is another one that's out there, as well as the like Islamic ones or whatever they are that no one wants to host. So I don't intend at this point to start another social media platform anytime soon, because I think asking all you people to hunt all over the internet to look for a video when in reality it's only because I'm a little bit paranoid, is a bit of a waste of effort. So that's where I'm at with that. So I probably am going to keep posting on YouTube because that works for me. As of the next Patreon series, I'm going to put those on Vimeo because that works better with Patreon, and I think there's definite benefits to that, and ClickSpring's doing that, so of course it's a cool thing to do. But that's been the plan for a little while. But apart from that, it's unlikely you're going to find me anywhere else. So there you go. Someone's watching 2 minutes behind. We've just caught up. Oh, yeah, I'm going to need some bug spray here. That wasn't nice. Okay, we've got a bug problem. It's only a cockroach. He just come in the door and walked across there because the door is still open. That was a bit stupid. Anyway, we'll get him later. Bill's having trouble following, but he's probably drunk. Craig's chatting 2 minutes in the future. That's awesome. And I just had a cockroach run under my foot, so I wonder where the bug spray is. I've got some good stuff, which is Aldi, which is pyrethrum based, which will not only kill all the bugs, but probably kill me too. He's sitting there right there looking at me. Look at that. Miserable coot. Hang on. Nah, I could probably spend 20 minutes looking for the bug spray. I think it's in the kitchen. Anyway, that'll do. He'll disappear. He'll either go up the wall somewhere or we'll get him later. He's only in the workshop. Anyway, we've got a bit of lag here. Something's going in and out here. See, it's all surging, and I'm sorry about that. W340 in flame's a bit dangerous. And it does sound a little bit dangerous, Bill. Well, I'm sure there's a tin of pyrethrum here that's pretty good stuff while we're on the long word, see. We'll get that. Anyway, we're about done for an hour. It's getting late. I haven't had anything to eat. I still have my bra on, which isn't doing anything for my health and temper. My feet need to be put up or soaked, or I need a hot shower or something. And I probably need to put some stuff together for work tomorrow and think about bed. So that's my evening. So I'm gonna say, hey, thanks for logging in, and thanks for keeping me company. And I'll be on time next week, promise, and put something up a bit early so everyone knows where to expect. But 27 is not a bad effort after an hour of this. So obviously there's something to watch. I don't know about that. But thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. Big thanks to new subscribers. Huge thanks to 17 thumbs up. And huge thanks to anyone who watches my other videos on my other channel as well, because I actually did post a couple of those. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to wait till the next lot of messages flood through, because it seems to be playing up here. And I'm going to call it a night. And goodbye from me and Bernie, and be kind to each other.